powerful Hollywood family shattered overnight. Two people found gone inside their own home. And at the center of it all, their own son. But what made this case explode online wasn't just the tragedy. It was what came next. Because based on everything being reported, Nick Reiner isn't expected to say, "I didn't do it." Instead, sources suggest his defense may take a very different route, one that's already dividing public opinion before a jury ever hears the case. And once you understand what was happening behind the scenes in the weeks leading up to that night, the story becomes far more unsettling. Nick Reiner had never exactly lived a quiet life. Reports say he'd struggled for years with mental health issues and substance abuse, bouncing in and out of treatment programs while his family tried to keep things together. Some even point to creative projects inspired by those struggles, hinting that his battles weren't a secret inside the family. But things reportedly took a sharp turn in the month before the incident. According to sources familiar with the situation, Nick had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and was under psychiatric care. He wasn't just seeing a doctor. He was reportedly being actively treated, prescribed medication, and closely monitored because his behavior had become increasingly unpredictable. And that's where things started to spiral. In the 3 to 4 weeks leading up to the incident, reports claim his medications were changed. Not once, but multiple times. Doctors were reportedly trying to stabilize him as his behavior grew more erratic, more intense, and more concerning to the people around him. Instead of helping, those changes may have made things worse. One source described his mental state during that period as out of control, saying he wasn't himself anymore. Others claimed he appeared disconnected, agitated, and emotionally volatile, like someone slipping further away by the day. And it didn't stop there. Nick was also reportedly abusing substances during this time, something sources say only intensified his mental health condition. If true, that combination, schizophrenia, medication changes, and substance use, can be dangerously unpredictable. People close to the situation say the warning signs were everywhere. In the days leading up to the tragedy, Nick had reportedly checked into an exclusive rehab facility in Los Angeles, one that specializes in treating severe mental illness. It wasn't cheap. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars a month. The kind of place families turn to when they're running out of options and hoping for a miracle. But even that didn't bring stability. Sources claim Nick continued to deteriorate mentally, despite doctors trying to adjust his treatment. The meds weren't landing right, the behavior wasn't improving, and the concern only grew. Then came the night that now haunts everyone involved. Hours before the incident, Nick reportedly attended a holiday gathering where multiple witnesses noticed something was off. He wasn't just quiet or withdrawn. Reports say he seemed distant, distracted, almost like he wasn't fully present. At some point that evening, an argument reportedly broke out between Nick and his father. Witnesses described it as intense, emotional, uncomfortable, and unsettling in hindsight. No one there could have imagined what would follow. Later that night, authorities say 2 people were found gone inside the family home. Nick was later taken into custody. From that moment on, the public narrative exploded. And so did the speculation. But here's where this case takes a sharp legal turn. Based on what's been reported, Nick's defense is not expected to argue that he had nothing to do with what happened. Instead, sources suggest they may pursue a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. That phrase alone carries a lot of weight and a lot of misunderstanding. This type of plea doesn't mean someone walks free. It doesn't mean the court shrugs and moves on. It means the defense must prove that due to a diagnosed mental illness, the person didn't understand the nature of their actions or couldn't comprehend that what they were doing was legally or morally wrong. And that's a very high bar. But according to people familiar with Nick's mental state at the time, there may be testimony claiming he was completely disconnected from reality. Out of his head, as one source reportedly put it. Not processing consequences, not fully aware of what was happening around him. If that's the argument, the courtroom battle won't be about whether something happened. It will be about what was happening inside Nick's mind when it did. And history shows this kind of defense can work. Sometimes. There have been past cases where juries accepted insanity pleas, resulting not in prison sentences but in long-term confinement in psychiatric facilities. In some cases, those individuals weren't released until doctors determined they were no longer a danger. That possibility alone has sparked massive debate online. Some people believe this is a tragic example of untreated or mistreated mental illness colliding with substance abuse. Others argue that mental illness doesn't erase accountability, and that justice still demands consequences. And then there's another layer that makes this case even more controversial. If Nick is found legally insane at the time of the incident, questions arise about inheritance, estate laws, and whether certain legal protections could apply. It's a complicated area of law and one that adds fuel to already heated discussions. Meanwhile, prosecutors are reportedly still reviewing evidence, including the alleged weapon, timelines, and Nick's behavior before and after the incident. Nothing is finalized. No plea has officially been entered yet, and the court process is just beginning. But one thing is clear. This case isn't going to be simple. It's not a clean story of good versus evil. It's a disturbing mix of family dynamics, mental health struggles, medical decisions, and a moment where everything collapsed at once. And as more details continue to surface, the public is left with one haunting question. Was this an act of pure violence? Or the final tragic result of a mind unraveling while everyone tried and failed to stop it? That's what a jury may ultimately have to decide. And no matter the outcome, this is a story that's going to linger long after the courtroom lights go out.